again, MMA True Believers. I'm Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and I'm joined by a man who returns to action after a long hiatus from the sport. He will look to follow up his Copa Combate 2018 one-night tournament victory by earning his first major world championship at Combate Americas Tahoe on August 23rd. It's only about a few days away. Standing in his way will be his Copa semifinals opponent, Bruno Canetti, and that man going for inaugural Combate Americas featherweight gold is the Bullet. Now, Andres Quintana. Question I wanted to ask was about your inactivity in these bunch of months. This will be your first fight since winning the Copa Combate, which was in December of last year. Now, I believe this fight was originally set to go down in June, but it didn't come to fruition at the time. However, even that would have been a 6-month layoff for you. Was there certain reasons you didn't fight throughout much of the year so far in 2019, and how frustrating has that been for you to be out of action? Now it's going to be 8 months.
Momentum going into my next few fights, you know, I haven't lost in like 3 years, I think, or more, way more than 3 years, I think. But I just been Combate for 3 years. So I've been trying to fight since like March or April or something like that, you know.
How has this affect you financially? Because I mean, you're definitely one of the stars in Combate, if not one of their biggest stars. But Combate is not necessarily, you know, UFC. It's still a major organization. You know, being out that long, has it affect you at all? Or I mean, you are in a different position than a lot of other guys that take maybe long, unforced layoffs. And that you just did win $100K at the Copa. Yeah. Has that helped a lot and made this layoff a little bit more bearable than other people might have been?
Yeah, of course. After I won the 100,000, I wasn't stressed anymore. I wasn't like trying to, I need to teach privates. I need to do this. I need to go help out at APD and teach them, you know, some training tactics. You know, I don't got to worry about it too much anymore. And you know, I live pretty cheap. Nothing's ever changed since I won the tournament. I still have my roommates. We got a big house, but I have roommates. Rent's really cheap. I live with my brother and a few other fighters, and they're all cool, and they all support me. They all help me out and whatever I need, and it's cool because like everyone even told me, they're like, oh, I thought you were gonna be all different after you won. Man, I'm straight from the hood. Like I grew up poor. A little bit of money didn't do nothing to me. Like I'm not rich. I'm hood rich, you know.
And that's fascinating because we have a Copa tournament, one-night tournament champion, possibly the next featherweight champion, has roomies. So we have like the Copa Combate possible champion living like Friends, like the TV show. Is that what we have here? It's almost like the TV show Friends, just a bunch of guys, or it's almost like a frat house at this point.
The funny thing is I've never even seen Friends, you know. I don't even know what you're talking about.
That's me showing my age and that I know Friends, but you know, what's that like? Like I'm sure a lot of people will be surprised by that. Is it just the kind of thing you like? You know, having people around bring some, you know, comfort. Are you like, look, okay, we've had enough. I got to get my own place, guys.
No, you know, I've lived like this my whole life. And the funny thing, I was just talking about this to my coach last night. Like ever since I graduated high school, my life has not changed one bit. I get up, I go train. That's my whole goal, is to fight. Since I was like 17 years old, my life has not changed at all. I was telling him, like, my frame of mind is still like in the same way. Like I see all these other people my age like transitioning to adults, and they're starting a family. They have all these different phases that they had to go through to become an adult. But like, shit, I'm the exact same person since high school. It's right after high school.
Are you then? I mean, I'm sure with, you know, being at the DAZN, Univision, you know, all these kind of things. I mean, things have to change a little bit. Some level of fame. Is that something you like? You know, since life hasn't changed, you know, do you uncomfortable with the growing fame? Or what's your feeling on things like that?
No, not at all. I've always like kind of prepared for it because I've always known I was gonna be a great fighter. And one day I'd be kind of popular at least, or some shit. So I kind of like already like mentally prepared myself for it. Like it's cool, whatever, but like if fans want to take pictures, I take pictures, you know. I like people. I'm a people person. I feel like, and if they want to meet me, I talk to them for a little bit. And you know, people write me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter all the time, tell me what's up, how are you, I'm a big fan, you know. It's cool. And the biggest thing is like I want to inspire people, like especially around like where I grew up, or like my hood, my area, So that's the biggest thing. I want to make sure people can get inspired by me, and he's from the same place, and he did all this. I can do this too, even if it's not even in MMA. I got a friend from Roswell that he turned pro, his first fight ever, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? I was like, come up here, come train with this Tyler. And he's very grateful, and I think he's going to be one of my new roommates, and we got an extra room open and stuff. So it's just nice to be able to help people out from Roswell, especially because Roswell's a rough city, a rough place to grow up, and there's a lot of crime and drug activity all the time. And I like to pull people away from that and get them focused and have goals in mind, and live a better life like I've created for myself.
Well, and what's interesting is Roswell has kind of come into the national consciousness even more lately because this whole Area 51 storming thing. What are you planning to storm Area 51 and being part of the MA contingent, or you just think it's ridiculous?
Hell no, I ain't trying to get blown up like a rocket or something.
Now, what have you been up to in this time? Has it been strictly just always training? Should we expect some wrinkles in the game going into this fight on Friday night? How have you kept yourself busy in this fairly long layoff? I'm sure probably one of the longer layoffs of your career.
In December, I just kicked back and I enjoyed time with my family, and we finally had a good Christmas. I was able to hook everyone up with some stuff and just enjoy family time, not worry about everything. I'm like, I got to leave on this day to go back to work, to do this, to do that. I was able to go to Roswell for as long as I wanted and hang out with my grandma. My grandma is getting older, and it's nice to be able to hang out with her and not worry about it. She still works, so she's helped me out my whole career. When I first moved up to Albuquerque, I had a Mustang, but it wasn't really reliable, and so she's like, I'm gonna get you a Carquito, from the dome, I work on cars and stuff. I know how to fix stuff and make sure they're going. But she's like, no, I'm gonna help you out and something. Like, Grandma, I know it's hard because my grandpa passed away when I was in middle school, and so she's on her own now, and it's just rough. So I'm always super grateful. My grandma, my mom, all my family's always supported me through my entire career. At first they're like, what are you doing? You're gonna, because I used to, right after high school, I worked at this cheese factory where my mom still works at. It's called Quintana. That's one of the best jobs you could probably get in Roswell. And I'm like, shit, I don't see myself doing this for the rest of my life. I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna take off to Albuquerque. I'm gonna go fight. And they're like, what are you doing? You're making a big mistake and this and that. Yeah. It's just how we were raised, you grew up, you go to work, shit, and I feel like I'm one of the first people in my family to kind of branch out and kind of follow my dreams. I don't really know too much what my grandma's dreams were when she was younger or anything, but she lived in a very small ranch called Villanueva, and that's my grandma's maiden name, and you just grow up and you go to work, that's just what it is. There's no dream chasing, there's nothing like that, but I saw the opportunity to take it, and I ran with it, and they're very supportive. Obviously they're like, I'm happy you're doing what you love, and so it's cool, very cool. And now I can help them out, if they need anything. I'm well off right now, and keep on winning, keep on fighting, and I'll hopefully one day be buying them all new cars.
When I talked to you in December, I think you told me that you were going to take the Copa title and bring it to your grandmother's house. Did you bring it to your grandmother's house?
I wish I could. I haven't received it.
Really?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? That's surprising. They hype up that you're going to get this title and this big ass trophy. You didn't get the trophy. What's up with that?
No comment.
Oh, all right, fair enough. We'll move on from there. Looking back on the Copa Combate 2018, your fight with Bruno was a standout fight for me, because of the momentum shifts and everything. He knocked you down early, seemed to have you scrambling to recover, then you hit him and with a big left hook, floored him, eventually ended the fight. Afterwards, he and his corner seemed upset, with the stoppage. Were you at all surprised that Canetti was placed in this inaugural title fight instead of, say, Alejandro Flores? He's won won since that finals loss to you, and who, or because of what happened with you and Bruno and the first time around, did you kind of figure you were going to probably face him again in a rematch pretty soon, and then just having the belt online, which is like a nice marketing cherry on top of it all?
To be honest, none of these fools deserve it. I knocked both of them out their last fight.
Mm-hmm.
You don't ever see someone get knocked out cold and fight for a title in the UFC or Bellator or anywhere. Like I was really confused whenever they said, "Oh, you're fighting Bruno again." I was like, "All right, that's fine." It don't bug me any, but like, I'm like, okay, like that's a shocker to me. Like, fuck, bring someone in. You bring someone I haven't beat.
When we talked in December, you felt there was, because there's people are saying the word controversy about that fight. You felt there was no controversy to that fight. You heard him. You told me back then, and this was your quote. He tried to grab a single leg, but he didn't even grab it properly. What goes to that goes to show, how much he really was out of it. I feel like if the ref didn't stop it, it was going to get a lot worse for him. Do you want to add any more for the folks watching to shut down any talk of controversy from that first fight?
The people that think that the fight was stopped too early, they just don't know shit about MMA, to be honest. Just straight up. I was in a very, very, very dominant position where I was just keep on raining shots until he wasn't going to be moving no more,
Mm-hmm.
If they want to say it's controversial, that's fine. That's up to them. I don't really care. I'm in there to do my job. I'm the one that won the tournament. I'm the one that won 100K. So that's what it is in the story.
Now on this rematch, you beat him for the first time we talked about, and felt the ref stop things from getting worse, as you said. Do you think a second time around, knowing how he fights, having more experience with him, with a greater understanding of him, could that worse that you mentioned, could we be seeing it on Friday night, and Canetti doesn't fully know how worse it's going to be for him the second time around?
It's funny because like whenever the first time I fought Canetti, I had no idea who Canetti was. I was like, oh, he took him. Like I didn't even watch his fight for the tournament. I think I was busy warming up, getting ready, and from what I heard, like, oh, he took him down in ground and pound. So, oh, he's from Team Alpha now. Okay, so he's gonna wrestle me. Yeah. So I wasn't even looking to stand up really. I was like really low, trying to counter wrestle him and stuff. So
yeah.
It's just gonna be a different fight completely. That I know he's just coming to try and knock me out. So
this will be your ninth fight for the promotion and first for a major world championship belt, like we talked about earlier. Would winning this belt be even bigger than winning the one night Copa tournament for you, or was the Copa kind of more special because you had to do the multiple fights in one night?
I think the Copa was most special because I want more money. And it was 3 people one night, and that's like a legit world champion. Like I beat 7 other countries. I was the 8th country. I was in the United States, and so like literally the best from each country was in that tournament. That was at least unsigned at the time, So like that's like a legit world title, world champion. That's the real shit right there.
Speaking of money, and I recently had a conversation with someone who's an agent in the sport, and they kind of talked about sponsorships may not be as big of a deal and stuff like that. Now you're in a title fight, you're a big name for the promotion. Have you felt any difference? Like, is sponsorship a big part of the money you bring in as a fighter, or is it really what you make in the fight? Like, what's your sponsorship situation as one of the faces of the promotion in a big fight on Friday?
How you say that face of the promotion? Like, does the sponsors from the promotion sponsor me? Are you asking?
No, I mean, like, because they know you're going to be in one of the top 2 fights in a top 5. Are sponsors trying to contact you more? Is it easier to get sponsorship deals? Like, because they know you're going to be in a very viewed scenario and stuff like that.
Right. So yeah. I mean, like, I get a lot of sponsorship offers. It's just the right amount of money is always talks, but I also have my manager's amazing. He's always helped me out. He's really good. He negotiates everything for me, and I've been getting a whole bunch of sponsors. But back home, I got another friend, real close friend, Mike Adams, and he's got me a ton of sponsors also. And because the reason why is because he's more of a local guy, and Albuquerque loves to support local fighters.
Yeah.
Whether it be MMA or boxing, I know Albuquerque's in the past been a huge boxing community with Johnny Tapia and Danny Romero and everyone. So I got a lot of their old backers just because I'm fighting for the world title.
Hmm.
They love to be around champions, and that's very cool, you know. And they love to see the hard work and all the dedication people put in. And so now I've got a lot of people backing me.
Do you feel winning this and calling yourself a world champion for a very notable promotion gives you the resume to be in the conversation as one of the best featherweights in the world in any promotion? Or did you kind of feel that way even before this?
Yeah, I mean, after I won that tournament, I felt like I was considered one of the best in the world, even though I might not be recognized as it right now. You know, but if we ever have like a cross promotion thing, whatever, that I would love to take on one of the top people and make a nice payday too. So.
And would that be something like? Would you push for that? Because especially if you beat Bruno, that would be the second time. Especially if you beat him impressively. You know, Alejandro, you beat already. You felt that they probably weren't worthy of a title shot, and these are two of the better names in the division. Would you say, look, let's try to co-promote. Let's contact some of these maybe Asian promotions or European. Would you want to push for something like that so you can get challenges from the very best featherweights possible out there?
Yeah, you know, Combate is very smart, and I believe they've been like, you know, kind of prodding at that and kind of looking at that. I know before they used to send some of their fighters to Ryzen, I believe. I'm
Right.
not 100% sure, but yeah, and they're very interested in co-promoting with another promotion, and so am I. Like, I mean, I'm here to get paid, and I'm here to prove that I'm one of the best in the world, you know. And there's only one way to do it, is fight all those other fools and tell them that show them how good I am.
As I mentioned, the ninth fight in Combate, do you foresee yourself being a Combate lifer, or when your contract does come up, whenever that is, are you interested in testing your value on the free agent market, especially if you can call yourself a world champion?
Uh, I know after I win this title that my contract extends for a little bit or something like that, you know. So I think it's like it's not too long, but I mean, I don't know. Like I said in the past, I'm a prize fighter, and I go where the money is.
Now, you mentioned to me last year, especially because we were talking about social media and stuff like that earlier. You mentioned to me last year you don't mind having to play the role of the bad guy if it comes to that, because some fans gave you flack for being Mexican American and not necessarily born in Mexico and stuff like that. Has
Yeah.
that changed at all since winning the Copa? About to be in title fight, or is it still the same status quo BS nonsense you get on social?
We still in the same position. Same position. They all hate me, but they're gonna tune in to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So
So I always like to end interviews on asking the fighters a little bit more about themselves. Like, we know, you live with the roommates at home and stuff like that. And aside from fighting, outside of anything fighting, anything training, I know that takes up a lot of your life. What are some of the things you like to do? Are you a big gamer? Do you maybe like to go outdoors? I know New Mexico has some beautiful nature and stuff like that. Or maybe you're a big Netflix binger. Maybe you have a TV show that will surprise people. Like, what? Andres likes that show? Like, what kind of things do you like to do when you're not a part of this very busy MMA game?
you know, I like racing cars a lot. I like I told you before, I have like two fastback. I mean, Fox Body Mustangs right now. Like in the process of trying to get like a 69 or 70 fastback. You know, that's always been like my dream car. You know, I've always liked fast cars. And I don't know if you know what ATVs are. Four
Yeah,
wheelers.
yeah,
Yeah,
of course, yeah.
I live right by the desert, and I have a
Oh,
2018 Raptor 700R. So we go out there, we'll throw bonfires, we'll go riding a bike, and we'll like have cookouts and stuff. I mean, I've been doing that since I was a child. You know, since I lived in El Paso since I was little. Um, and it's just kind of part of my culture now. Like, this is what we do. You know, we go invite a whole bunch of people. We go have cookouts and ride the bikes around. Everyone brings their off-road vehicles. It's just a lot of fun. And yeah, and when I'm in camp, like I'm not gonna be doing all that crazy stuff. Like, sometimes I do, yeah, but I'm trying to stay away from that a little bit so I don't get hurt.
mm.
A while back, like, but before I signed with Combate, like 3 or 4 years ago, I got in a real bad bike accident, and shit, that put me out. That shit put me out for a while. I didn't even have a helmet or nothing, and
Oh,
yeah, I was in the hospital for like a week, I think.
wow. What were the injuries you had?
I broke my nose really bad. I sliced my head open really bad. I had surgery on my ankle, road rash everywhere. Yeah, I was pretty beat up, but it just, you know, happens.